Hi everyone, this is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop, and today I'm going to do a bit of a Lenormand and cartomancy lesson. I've asked my Lenormand and cartomancy group on Facebook a question. I asked them to tell me what they want me to make videos about. So I said, hi all, I'm going to make a YouTube video about whatever topic you like. It has to be Lenormand related. The option that gets the most votes is the winner. So the one that got the most votes was how to merge card meanings. And that question was posed by Ron Edwards, and it got 31 votes. Let's go to how to merge card readings. Now I wanted a little bit more clarification just to make sure everyone knew what that means. So I said, hi all, the winner of this poll is how to merge card meanings. It was asked by Ron Edwards and about 30 people voted for it. So it's actually 31. What do you all mean by this? I asked them. Please explain, just so I am clear and I can answer well. So we got some comments on that, and we have Lisa Davis said card interactions. So that I'm taking that as when you have two cards or three or four or five and they're interacting with each other. So let's look at some card interactions. Now over time you will get your own card interactions and your meanings may slightly change. My meanings over the years has slightly changed, I have to say. Like, some of my interactions with the cards do have other meanings that you don't find in books. So for example, the ship for me always means you're almost there. Okay, so if someone's asking, will I get a new job? It could be travel, could be a travel job, it could be traveling involved or abroad, but it could also mean you're almost there. I don't recall seeing that in any meanings, you're almost there. The snake is another one. The snake I see as a winding road or a winding direction or winding journey. So if someone says, will I get the new job? Probably you're going to have to go around the bend to get it, or it's not going to be straightforward. Now, sometimes you'll get, for example, pairs, so interactions. You're almost there, but it's not straightforward. You're almost there, you're on your way there, and it's not going to be direct. Now, traditionally, you could also read this as a difficult woman will travel, because a snake card often means a woman. Okay. It could be read a dangerous journey, or it could be a detour of your trip. Could be that you are not going to go where you think you are going to go, or the journey ahead is not positive for you. Could be a dangerous journey. Could be a dangerous journey ahead. Okay, so let's look at the ring and the garden. Public engagement. Interacting with many people. Dedicated to public. A wedding, garden wedding. So there's no set. These kind of things you have to sort of make up yourself. There's no book that you can really look up and find the exact meaning. Child could be a new beginning, a small beginning, a small journey to the moon, or a small phase of the moon. Moon phases could create childish behavior, or there's small phases. Sometimes the moon can represent a reputation, so your reputation is beginning. Sometimes, so for example, if it was a question about a work, how am I perceived at work? You could be perceived as childish, or it could be perceived as your reputation is growing, or you're starting small to build your reputation. Okay, let's see another one. Let's see a difficult one. So the bear I always find difficult because for me the bear is a negative card because it's a wild animal. So in a love question it is not a good card. So let's find another difficult one. Say, let's try the key because it's an odd mix. So it could be like opening up your assertiveness or being overly, because I see the key as like more opening, being overly burdened or overbearing, literally overbearing, or your power opens the way, your leadership and domination is the way forward. Okay. Sometimes people would read the key as something certain, so it depends on the card after it as well. So let's just take a random card, making this difficult for myself. So the way forward is by being cunning. So your strength, bear, is opening the way, but you need to be cunning about it. Okay, so I just usually just play with the word associations that come to mind as well. Let's try one more. Let's try the heart. So love and networking. So the birds I see as networking, or a desire heart to pair up. Could be love messages, chatting on a dating app about love. Could be sending someone text messages of love, or a Valentine's message, say. Could be pairing up in an emotional way. Could be talking about emotions, sensitive communication. Okay. It could be trusting, because it's almost like loving someone, trusting someone with your secrets. So that's how I would pair them up. There's no set rule. Well, there are rules actually, but you'll find that you have to kind of create your own. When I first started doing Lenormand, I stuck really to the rules and the traditional rules, but I found with my clients I couldn't flow because I was giving them these kind of blocky answers. So rider, clouds. So you're traveling towards confusion, or it could be a young man who is confused, or the road ahead or the path ahead is uncertain. Okay, it could also be a message is muddled, or a worrying news, because the rider can represent like the postman. Could be a message does not arrive, or gets confused or lost. Okay, so I think these things happen over time, and you have to just build up your own experience. Ron Edwards said, well, what I mean is, for example, if I have 5 cards and I give keywords for each of the cards, but I have trouble merging the cards into something that makes sense. So I'm just going to do this off the top of my head. So let's just see what we get. So let's try to merge the meaning of 5 cards. Now, what you need really is a context. So this is where a lot of people get it wrong. They don't ask for a context. So that someone's sitting in front of you just randomly pulling out cards, and you have no idea what you're doing and what you're supposed to say. So you need to get a context. So let's pretend this is a question about someone's career. Let's just say they're going for a new job, and we want to know how they'll do in this job. So I'm just going to randomly take 5 cards. So the way I do it is home. So whatever the first meanings of home is: comfort, working from home, being stable, could be real estate. I start using these words in my head. The moon could be part-time work, because the moon to me represents phases. So perhaps this person has worked from home in phases, or they've been into emotions about working. Okay, clouds. Yeah, I'm getting a sense of here of fear. Even the moon's giving me a feeling of like they're a little bit anxious, because the moon is emotions to me as well. their reputation. It's usually a card of reputation in Lenormand, but I'm feeling it's got a bit of an anxious vibe, and then the clouds makes it even more anxious. So I could say to the client, you may be feeling anxious about going forward in your career or starting something new. Let's just keep going. Yeah, feeling very blocked. So I would say to this client at this point, there's a blockage in your progress, there's uncertainty. Traditionally, you could say that the uncertainty, the clouds, is starting to stop because the cross stops the card in front of it. Let's take another one. And then I would say that there's plenty of opportunities still out there. So if the client was asking me, will I get a new job on, say, Monday? I'd say to them, probably not, because I would say there's too many negative cards in the middle. Even though the cross stops the clouds, I would say that there's still a block here. And then I'd say there's plenty of fish, there's money to be made out there. And I would also say to them that they may have to look for other options. Now, it could also be read that there's plenty of blockages, or money will be blocked. Money will be blocked, the end of confusion. There's confusion about your reputation. You may be moody. You may be retrospective about the past, because the house represents the past. So as you can see, I do use traditional ways of reading Lenormand, but I also add my own style to it. Because if you just stick to textbook tradition with a client, most of the time they just stare at you thinking that you're crazy and they don't have any clue of what you're talking about. But if you start to put in your own sort of interpretation, that's when you can connect it with the question and with your client. Let's do one more. See if I can merge them. So let's ask about someone's love life. Okay. So let's just say a single person wants to know if they're going to meet someone in the next 12 months, say. So they're timid. There seems to be a lot of timid energy, lots of chitter chatter, but it seems like there's timid energy with this. So I would say perhaps you're a bit shy, or you haven't been communicating very well. The mice usually take something away. So talking has not been happening, or perhaps you've been hiding out. A man, so there's a man out there. If your client is a woman, this would be a man that is interested in her. And if it is a man that you're reading for, this would be him. You need to communicate with the man, and it doesn't seem to be happening. So what I would say to this client is, you seem to be hiding out, not communicating. There is a man there that you need to talk to, but you're not doing that, or the talking is difficult or blocked. If it is a male client you're reading for, I'd say this client is not communicating well and perhaps not dating. There's a desire to date with the birds, a desire to meet, but it's not happening. And there's a desire to communicate with the letter, but it's not getting out there. So that's how I would merge the cards. I would just use my intuition, use my sort of third eye, let my mind sort of work with the images. I would use the tradition. So tradition would indicate that the mountain blocks the card before it. So absolutely no communication is happening. Even though the male desires to communicate, it's not happening. And that's sort of repeated over here as well. Okay. So there's no textbook way. I think you just have to learn the meanings, learn the tradition, and then add your own flavor on top of that. This is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop. And that was a lesson in how to merge Lenormand card meanings.